Good morning. I'm Keith B, and I'm an ancient pharaoh trapped inside of the body of a young boy. And today, I'm going to tell you how to fight against Eddy Gordo. Now, Eddy is Tekken's resident Capoeira practitioner, and he's got, you can see this kind of dancing back and forth style. Capoeira is an iconic kind of dance fighting style from Brazil, and Eddy has a little bit of a reputation amongst casual Tekken players in particular. The Wikipedia page for Eddy says, Eddy has received heavy criticism in the fighting game community for the low skill floor associated with Eddy's play style.
Wow, Wikipedia.
What Eddy did you lose to? So, yeah, he's, ever since, like, the days of, Tekken 3, he's had this reputation for just being this kind of, like, character that you could pick and like mash against your uncle or your older brother or whoever with, and I don't know, it's earned somewhat. I think that the idea that they showed off in the Eddy demonstration where you just can get a combo from mashing 3 is part of that kind of design philosophy of like, well, this is a character who you can start with as a beginner, but maybe that's not necessarily a bad thing. I don't know. I just know that that is a stigma that exists that's attached with Eddy. Before I talk about Eddy, you should subscribe to my channel. I don't have anything funny to say. Just click the subscribe button. I love you. Eddy is traditionally seen as kind of a movement character, kind of a backdash, whiff punish, keep out character. But his backdash in this game is significantly reduced. Like, it doesn't look bad. Like, he's got this sway to him still that I like. But it's not great compared to, like, Alyssa or Zafina or even, like, Dragunov. It's kind of middle of the road, maybe above average. I don't have all the backdash math in front of me. I haven't tested this. I'm just kind of basing it on I've played a few games as and against Eddy. Now, to compensate for this, Eddy has traditionally had really bad lateral movement options. In fact, in older games, he couldn't sidewalk at all. He can do that now, so that means all of the, if you want to sidewalk a while running move, you can just do that. You don't have to, like, try to find some other answer as an Eddy player. He also has a much more standard sidestep, a very average, middle-of-the-road, normal sidestep. In the old games, like, his sidestep was very situational. It was a completely different sidestep than any other character had, and most people just kind of played him as a kind of back and forth, backdash, and movement, kind of not really worrying about the lateral movement. Now you can play him a lot more standard. He also has been given a lot more firepower in regards to his pokes, especially his like down forward one and his back one. And also, his stances have really strong mix-up options from them now. And you can also see he got this little Windjammer power here when I did the sweep. He can level up. There's a 1. There's a level 1 there. He can level up his Mandinga power. I'm just going to call it his man power. And he can level that up to gain access to new moves. Now, it's a little bit different than other characters in Tekken 8 who have installs. His meter stocks don't actually correspond to his heat at all. In heat, he does get new moves, but they're different moves than what he gets from leveling up his man. So, when he levels up his man to level 1 here, he gains 2 new moves in headstand stance. He can do a back 4, which is a plus on block, very plus on hit mid kick. And he can do 3+4, which is a natural combo low mid mid. So, show those real quick. Low mid mid plus 4, low mid mid minus 13. And the back 4 is plus 6 on block, plus 9 on hit. Now, if he were to level up even further beyond, he can go to level 2. And level 2, he's now maxed level. He cannot go any higher than level 2. And now he gets some added properties here. His sweep becomes a knockdown sweep, and his overhead mid becomes a knockdown overhead mid. Very powerful stance now. Now, all this stuff is just related to his headstand stance. So he powers up his man, level 1, level 2. He gets the Windjammer stock, and then he can do these 2 moves, and then he can power up these 2 moves from headstand. He does not carry over stocks from round to round. They reset when it's a new round. To get stocks of his man gauge, he can do his, I showed off already, the 3-3 from his relaxed stance, his sweep from there. That gives him a stock. He can also do down back 4-4, natural combo. That gives him a stock. And he can also go for his 2-3 from headstand. And this is a natural combo, just like down back 4-4. So those are the only 3 ways he can get man. Those are the only 2 moves he can do anything with man. He also gains a couple of new moves in heat. He gains 3+4, which is a mid launcher that gives him plus frames into handstand. And he gains quarter circle forward 4, which is a knockdown high that gives him plus frames into his relaxed stance or his negativa stance. Those are his 2 stances. The other thing he has is a mid heat smash that will also give him plus frames into stance. There's a theme here, and the theme with Eddy is stances. His stances are way more buff than they were in previous games, so to compensate for his more normal standard movement, he now has beefy stance mix-ups that he can run on you. So let's talk about Eddy when he's playing the spacing game. Eddy still has pretty good keep out. He's got his sidestep 3+4. This is a launcher, but it's kind of like a weird launcher. You kind of have to have them swing into it. So it's not one that he's going to come up to you and do. It's one that he's going to like be out here, and he's going to clip your move when you try to do a move to approach him. He's going to evade it, and he's going to clip it on this cartwheel, and then he's going to get the launch. He's also got access to really good whiff punishment, like down forward 3. You can see the range on this is quite nice. It's a nice launcher. And then he's got more standard, while standing 3. He does not have a hop kick, so that's something important to keep in mind. He can do his 4-forward 3 to get in. This is a low. And it's +6 into his relaxed stance, where he's on the ground. And from relaxed stance, again, he has his powerful mix-up. So let's just take a look at, okay, well, 4-forward 3, that's a move he's going to do to get in. A lot. You're going to see a lot of 4-forward 3 from Eddy players. I promise you. You have to figure out what to do about this move. And then the other thing he can do is like a wall running 3, right? Everyone in Tekken has to have some sort of wall running approach rule. So, the good news is this isn't, while the 4-forward 3 has crazy range, this isn't terribly bad. We can just go ahead and sidewalk this stuff. And it doesn't, like, we can sidewalk in either direction, too. Like, we don't really have to be super careful about which way we're sidewalking. It's a little easier, I think, to walk left. You see how that wall running 3 just whiffed hugely? It's a little easier to sidewalk that to the left. Sometimes if you sidewalk late, you'll end up blocking the wall running 3. Let's see if I can show it. Yeah, see, if you sidewalk late, you'll end up blocking it. So if you want to pick a direction, go left with your sidewalks to avoid this kind of approach options from Eddy. Now, eventually, this is Tekken 8. You can't just, like, sidewalk and play keep out forever. You're going to be close to Eddy. And up close, Eddy is much improved from previous Tekkens. He's got a number of nasty tracking options. Both his down forward 1 and his back 1, well, they track to the left. Well, they track to the right. You can't sidewalk them, really, because you're going to use these in small frame situations where you don't have the startup time to sidewalk them, really. And so, yeah, these just have really strong tracking. It's actually a little bit crazy, in my opinion, that they track this well. But he's got that DLC down forward 1. So be aware, his tracking on his pokes is really good. If you have to pick a direction to sidestep Eddy, I would say right is going to be the stronger play most of the time. His key moves like down forward 2 and most of his launchers, you're going to be able to evade by sidestepping right. The only problem that you're going to run into is if the Eddy decides to play kind of compact, he is going to start using these kind of honorary homing moves. And the one that we really need to be careful of, that we absolutely cannot get hit by, is back 3-3, because this is a counter hit launcher. So, and this will track sidestep right. It will track sidestep left. Now, if we just step, we're fine. He can't actually hit us. But if I were to do like sidestep into a button, I'm getting launched. So what you don't want to do against Eddy is you don't want to be doing sidestep into immediate button. That should not be a part of your offense. Because his pokes are going to be too good at tracking you, and the risk of this 13-frame counter hit launcher just completely duffing you and stealing the round is very, very strong. So what we want to do instead, just step and guard. And if you eat one of these things, that's fine. These little pokes, you can punish his moves that go into relaxed stance, which is normal standing 13-frame moves. You just do a normal 13 or 14-frame punisher. So the most common time you're going to see his Negativa stance is going to be out of this 4-4-3. It's a sliding low, it is minus 13 on block, and it's plus 6 into stance on hit. So once this hits you, what I'm showing right here is actually a pretty common flowchart that you're almost guaranteed to see. So what he's doing here is he's doing his slide kick low into stance 2-4. Stance 2-4 is plus 3 on block. So if I were to try to swing here, I'm eating a heat engager out of that situation. So this is a little flow chip bonus tip for you. What we have to do is be looking for this. If you see this, we got to duck, and then we can deal with him accordingly. But yeah, definitely look for this flowchart and punish it. Next is his 3-3. This thing is really nasty. You're going to see a lot of him just going right in the stance and doing 3-3. And you can see this is a knockdown, natural combo, low high. What are we supposed to do here? Well, at tip range, we can backdash. And it will not combo. It requires clean hit. So if he's out spaced out, and he's trying to do the slide to get in, we backdash, and we can then block the second hit. You might be saying, hey, wait, it's low high. Why can't we duck it, buddy? Well, it jails. I don't know why it jails, but it jails. So, since it jails, we're going to go ahead and let him get it. We backdash, and then we punish with our 13-frame Punisher. Unfortunately, when he's really close, like if he's throwing this out in your face, then you do have to hold the mix. But when he's spaced out, you don't have to hold that mix. You can just backdash, take the low, block the second extension, and punish it. Other options that he has from relaxed stance include some strings. I'll show you what some of these strings look like. He also has a hard safe mid. He has a big mid launcher kick. How do I let's do this. Big old launcher kick. And then the string that I will show you is he does have an extension out of his 2-4, where he could do 2-4-4. If you're looking for the 2-4, this one shouldn't be too much of a problem, since you're going to duck that anyway to avoid the pressure afterwards. But just know there is a third hit. A lot of Eddy's strings have one more hit than you think. Just fair warning there. His other stance that he uses a lot is his handstand stance. So he's going to get in a handstand a lot, doing things like his 2-3 Punisher to get plus frames into handstand. He can also get into handstand off of his while running 3 on block. And he gets plus frames into it, which is nice for him. Boom, handstand. So you're going to be dealing with handstand a lot. You eat a 12 frame punish, he's in handstand. You block a while running 3, he's in handstand. What do you do? Well, the good news is, unless he has his man levels powered up here, he doesn't have a low in handstand. The worst he can do to you is his relatively slow rodeo throw. Now this is unbreakable. But that's a little bit slow. It's technically reactable. It might be a little weird to react to, but it's not that threatening. His other options that he has is a power crush. We all love stances with power crushes. So he can also go into handstand in situations where he's minus on block, such as back 1-4, and then make you kind of guess, am I going to do this power crush or not? The power crush also makes it so you have to be careful how you punish some of the moves that transition into handstand. I'll talk about that in the punishment section. He's also got a kind of back sway option out of handstand with back 3 that you do have to be aware of. That's minus 12. And he's got some stringy stuff as well. We mentioned the 2-3 that gives him the charge of his man level. He's also got a 3-3-3 that goes right into his relaxed stance. You might have seen the weakness to this string. It's that these second 2 hits are both highs, so we can duck that and deal with it. And so the kind of mind games around handstand are that you have to understand, okay, he did a thing that goes into handstand, and what I do has to be fast enough to interrupt the power crush, or I have to just hold this offense if I don't think I have anything. If he's 2+, then I just have to let him do a thing. And then you also have to pay attention to his levels of his gauge here. If he's at level 1 or level 2, he now has a threatening low from this stance. Now, the nice thing about this power crush is it is slow enough that we can swing into it sometimes with like a jab and still block. And jabs will float this stance as well, which is nice. To deal with relaxed stance, the mind games are a little different. He gets into relaxed, and he is on the ground. So you can't hit him with highs when he's on the ground. You have to hit him with mids. So sometimes, like a savvy Eddy might just go into relax looking to bait your jabs. They might use moves that transition to relax to try to get you to jab back. So you gotta be very mindful. If he's on the ground, you need to be using your down forward 1 or like a fast threatening mid to hit him. He cannot block in relaxed stance. I'm sorry, he cannot block in headstand stance. He can stand block rather quickly from relaxed stance. So you do have to be mindful of what the frames are, and you do have to worry about whether or not your move is you want to jab float him when he's in handstand, or if you need to hit him with a mid when he's in relax. Let's talk about a few unsafe moves. One of Eddy's go-to whiff punishers is down forward 3. This bad boy is minus 18, so definitely launch him for that. Eddy's back 1 series comes with a mid-mid that has either a mid counter hitting extension or a low sweep extension. Now, unfortunately, you cannot fuzzy duck these options. What you can do is duck for the low and then stand block for the mid, because these last 2 hits of the mid are not natural combo, so I can still punish that. and I can still get the block on the low. I mean, there's about a 1 frame difference here. If you're capable of fuzzy ducking this, then more power to you, but my plan for this move is just to anticipate the sweep so that I don't die to it, and then if I eat that 1 hit of the mid, I'm not going to sweat because I'll just stand block this other stuff. He has the exact same sequences off his forward 4, which gives you less hits to process what's happening, but other than that, it's exactly the same. He can also go into his headstand stance off of his forward 4. Another kind of classic scummy Eddy move is his down back 2-3. This one is very tricky because both hits of this are incredibly unsafe. Unfortunately, Eddy can counter hit confirm this. And even if you block the low, you kind of have to guess whether or not he's going to do the mid extension, because he can then launch you for trying to launch him. So be aware of this, and I generally am going to respect the low on block until the Eddy proves that they don't want to do it. And just know that you can launch him for doing the mid as well. So if an Eddy player does not hit confirm this, that is free reign to just get lots of launches on him. A new weird string for Eddy is his back 4 series. This is a high kick that leads into some mids, and the whole thing, if you just block it, is plus on block and causes chip. This is actually a Lucky Chloe move. Shout out to Lucky Chloe from Tekken 7. And the ways that we can deal with this involve sidestepping the last hits, or we can jab float the last hit. If you sidestep it, you're going to want to sidestep right. And if we jab float it, you're going to jab float right when he jumps up in the air. He can do the same options off of his while standing 4. So be aware that his while standing 4 can also lead to this sequence. Same options to deal with it. I already talked about ducking his relaxed 2-4. Mid-high, duck the second hit. Hit is plus on block. His down back 4-4 is mid-high and gives him a charge of his man install. So you definitely want to duck that. So from his 1-2 jabs, he can do a flip where he can do nothing. He can go for a low, or he can go for a high. That is in fact a high. So if you see him doing this flip, just go ahead and input a low parry or fuzzy duck. There's no mid option out of the flip. His forward 2-4 is a mid-low. That's +2 on hit and -14 on block. So that's definitely another one that you want to practice against. Now, alright, so Eddy has a lot of weird options that he can go for. I think I've covered most of the main ones, at least the ones that I have time to get through before this video becomes way too long. And before I go, I do want to just take a second to chime in on, I'm sure some people wonder, since Eddy's brand new, do I think he's good? Do I think he's trash? I definitely don't think that Tekken 8 Eddy is trash. I think he is has some really strong tools. His potential to mix you up from his stances is really strong, especially when he gets his charges of his level, particularly his level 2 man charges, where then this move becomes a knockdown low. He does have things like a high heat engaging power crush. He's got some pretty strong pokes, obviously. And just a lot of stuff. So I don't know that Eddy is top tier necessarily, because I'm not sure how easy it's going to be to get these charges. That's like my one concern, is like, well, if I'm only have these 3 moves, I gotta land down back 4-4, or I gotta land handstand 2-3. How easy is it going to be to land those? But if those moves can be charged up consistently every round to get level 2, then I think Eddy is a very, very strong character. And at the very least, I think Eddy is going to be like a viably strong character. I think he'll be, you know, upper mid-tier At worst. I don't think a character with the kind of tracking and offense that he's capable of doing is going to be bad in this game. So that is going to do it for today's episode. I will be back next Sunday, and I hope to see you there. Thanks for watching.